And all the other preachers became jealous of them, so they tried to get him prohibited from teaching in the churches because he was so popular. So Benjamin Franklin actually built, it's in his autobiography, he built a non-denominational center. And he said, I built this so anybody who has something good to say to the people of this city can come and say it. Even if the Mufti of Constantinople wanted to come and teach us Islam, he'd find a pulpit in my city. So he says, فَيَجِبُ أَن يُشَاوِرَ الْمَلِكُ الْوَزِيرُ. So the king has to take counsel with the minister. He has to know what's going on when the king's out of touch, which is what happens. This is what happened to the Shah of Iran. He's completely out of touch. Kings get out of touch with reality. The Shah wasn't, he wasn't aware of people being tortured in the things with electrodes and things like that. They get out of touch. And then everybody's afraid to bother them with the details. And then suddenly they're overthrown. So he's saying, no, the king has a job. A minister once came to visit Imam Ghazali, and he said, وَقْتُكَ مَحْسُوبٌ عَلَيْكَ. Your time is all taken into account for. What are you doing visiting me? Go do your job. It's much better for you than to come and visit me. Because these people have immense responsibility. I mean, these people are going to have the biggest hisab on the Day of Judgment. The people that had authority over other people. The people that were responsible for the well-being of people. And how they betray them. They betray their trust. If you have an army, what's an army for? An army is for defense. That's what an army is for. An army is for defense. It's to defend a people from threats of aggression. If you use that army to aggress, they're not aggressors. The army's not aggressors. They just follow orders. But if you use that army to aggress and you kill people doing that, you're responsible for every single one of those lives that you wasted on the Day of Judgment. No, people have no idea the immensity of it. If they did, they wouldn't do it. If they did, they wouldn't run for office. It's only a fool runs for office. Which is why the Prophet ﷺ said, we don't give this affair to anyone who seeks it. Why? Because the very fact that they're seeking it means they don't understand what it is. If they knew what it was, they'd flee from it. So we're not going to give you that authority. Why? Because you want it. Which means that is the indication that you don't know what it is. It's an immense responsibility. It's a burden. And that's why he said, a man who leaves this world and has never been an emir over anyone is successful. People want authority. Everybody wants authority. Because they don't know what it is. Even a man in the house. The responsibility, كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّ رَاعٍ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. Everyone is a shepherd, and every shepherd is responsible for his flock. You're going to be asked about every single one of the people you were responsible for. So, the king has to take counsel with the wazir, the aqal. وَيَجْعَلَ الْوَالِي وَالشِّحْنَ تَحْتَ يَدَ الْوَزِيرِ. And he has to put the governor and the police under the authority of the minister. So there's hierarchy. So the police aren't out of control. فَإِذَا فَعَلَ ذَلِكَ اسْتَقَرَّتْ أَحْوَالَ الْمَمْلَكَةِ وَتَعَمَّرَتْ الْمَدِينَةِ. If he does that, then the conditions of the kingdom are stabilized. You have a stable kingdom, and the city flourishes. وَكَذَلِكَ الْقَلْبُ يُشَاوِرُ الْعَقْلِ. And like that, the heart must take counsel with the intellect. Because if you follow your heart without the intellect, you have to listen. The minister, the king can't do it on his own, because the minister is the one that's in touch with reality. Do you see? The king is not in touch with reality. Where does he get his reality from? The minister. Where does the heart get its reality from? The intellect. Because the intellect's in touch with reality. So the intellect, he needs to take counsel with the intellect. Counsel, not be controlled by the intellect, not be dominated by the intellect, but he needs to take counsel from the intellect. وَيَجْعَلَ الشَّهْوَةَ وَالْغَضَبَ تَحْتَ حُكْمِهِ. And he has to place the desire and the anger under its authority. So these troops have to be under the authority of the intellect. Your ghadab and your desire. The intellect is the minister. The desire is, that's the governor. And then the anger is the police. So he's using this as a metaphor so you can understand it. You can see it in the big one, you can see it in the little one. حتى تستقر أحوال النفس. So that the psychological condition is stabilized. People don't lose it. So the psychological condition is stabilized. ويصل إلى سبب السعادة من معرفة الحضرة الإلهية. And so you arrive at the means of felicity from knowledge of the divine presence. That's the whole point. ولو جعل العقل تحت يد الغضب والشهوة هلكت نفسه وكان قلبه شقيا في الآخرة. But if you place the intellect under the authority of the desire and anger, the soul is destroyed. And the heart is wretched in the next life. That's what happens. اعلم أن الشهوة والغضب خادمان للنفس جاذبان يحفظان أمر الطعام والشراب والنكاح لعمل الحواس. Know that the desire and the ghadab, the irascible and the concupiscent souls, are fetching servants of the nafs. They're fetching servants. They're the ones that get what you need. They protect you in matters of food, drink, copulation, for the labor of the senses. Because you need those things in order for you to be well. ثُمَّ النَّفْسِ خَادِمَ الْحَوَاسِ. And then the soul is the servant of the senses. شَبَكَةَ الْعَقَلِ, which is the net of the intellect. وَجَوَاسِيسِهِ. So the senses are the hunting net of the intellect. It's how the intellect knows. It uses the senses as a net that it throws out to catch reality so that it can understand these things. So you have sight, you have sound, this is a shabaka, it's like a hunting net. وَجَوَاسِيسِهِ يُبْصِرُ بِهَا صَنَائِعَ الْبَارِ جَلَّتْ قُدْرَتُهُ. And it's also the spies that are able to see the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Majestic is His power. ثُمَّ الْحَوَاسِ خَادِمُ الْعَقَلِ. And then these five senses are the servant of the intellect. وَهُوَ لِلْقَلْبِ سِرَاجٌ وَشَمْعَةٌ يُبْصِرُ بِنُورِهِ الْحَضَرَةَ الْإِلَهِيَّةِ. And they are for the heart, for this consciousness, a lamp and a candle. The light by which they're able to see the divine presence. They're able to experience it. لأن الجنة وهي نصيب الجوف والفرج محتقرة في جانب تلك الجنة. Because the delight of the senses, and this is their portion of the stomach and the genitals, that's what the senses delight in. That's their Jannah. The Jannah of the senses is food and sex. That's the pinnacle of their delight in this world. These are insignificant in relation to this other delight, which is the delight of divine awareness, of divine consciousness. ثُمَّ الْعَقْلُ خَادِمُ الْقَلْبِ. And the intellect is the servant of consciousness. وَالْقَلْبُ مَخْلُوقٌ لِنَظْرِ جَمَالِ الْحَضَرَةِ الْإِلَهِيَّةِ. And the heart was created to see and contemplate the beauty of the divine presence. So all of these things are servants for this heart. It's not the other way around. But what happens in the world is people make all of these things the commanders, and the heart becomes subservient. فَمِنِ اجْتَهَدَ فِي هَذِهِ الصُّنْعَةِ فَهُوَ عَبْدٌ حَقٌّ. So the one who is exerting his energies in this craft, that for which he was created, in this thing for which he was created, this is a true servant. مِنْ خِلْمَانَ الْحَضَرَةِ, from the youth of this presence. كما قال الله سبحانه وتعالى وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون. I only created jinn and ins to worship me. So if you're doing this, you're indeed a true servant. You're fulfilling what you were created to do. معناه إنا خلقنا القلب وأعطينا الملك والعسكر. What this means is we created the heart. We gave it a mulk, a dominion. وَعَطَيْنَاهُ الْمُلْكَ وَالْعَسْكَرِ. We gave it a dominion and troops to protect the dominion. وَجَعَلْنَا النَّفْسَ مَرْكَبَهُ. And we made the soul its vehicle حَتَّى يُسَافِرَ عَلَيْهِ مِنْ عَالَمِ التُّرَابِ إِلَى أَعْلَى عِلِّيِّينَ. In order for it to travel upon this beast of the nafs from this dusty world to the highest of the heights. I mean, that's what we've been given. فَإِذَا أَرَادَ أَنْ يُؤَدِّي حَقَّ هَذِهِ النِّعْمَةِ جَلَسَ مِثْلَ السُّلْطَانِ فِي صَدْرِ مَمْلَكَتِهِ. So if he wanted to fulfill the right of this blessing, then he sits like the sultan in the midst of his dominion. وَجَعَلَ الْحَضَرَةِ الْإِلَهِيَّةِ قِبْلَتُهُ وَمَقْصِدُهُ. And he makes this divine presence his qibla, his direction, and his goal. وَجَعَلَ الْآخِرَةَ وَطَنَهُ وَقَرَارُهُ. And he makes the next life his true nation, his true birthplace, and his final abode. وَالنَّفْسَ مَرْكَبُهُ. And his nafs is his riding beast. وَالدُّنْيَا مَنْزِلَهُ. And the world is his way station. It's only a temporary alighting place. وَالْيَدَيْنِ وَالْقَدَمَيْنِ خُدَّامُهُ. And his two hands and his 2 feet are his servants. وَالْعَقْلَ وَزِيرُهُ. And his intellect is his minister. وَالشَّهْوَةَ عَامِلُهُ. And his desire is his laborer. It's doing the labor. وَالْغَضَبَ شِحْنَتُهُ. And his wrath is his police force. وَالْحَوَاسَ جَوَاسِيسُهُ. And his senses are his spies that he keeps in touch with his dominion. وَكُلُّ وَاحِدٍ مُوَكَّلٌ بِعَالَمٍ مِنْ عَوَالِمٍ يَجْمَعُ لَهُ أَحْوَالَ الْعَوَالِمِ. And every one of them is entrusted with a world or a domain amongst these domains in order for him to understand the conditions of the domain. So each one of these is there so that he can know what is the condition, what's the state, what's going on. وَقُوَّةَ الْخَيَالِ فِي مُقَدَّمَ الدِّمَاغِ كَالنَّقِيبِ. And the ability, the faculty of imagination is in the forefront of his intellect like a chief. يَجْمَعُ عِنْدَهُ أَخْبَارَ الْجَوَاسِيسِ. It's able to gather the information of the jawasis. So what he's saying is your neocortex it's in the front, this quwwa al-khayal, this incredible ability that is unique in the human being. Animals don't share this quality, the ability for us to perceive, this ability of perception. He's saying that this is like a chief, and it takes in the news of the jawasis. The spies bring the news, and they tell them. The spies are the senses. It comes into the intellect, it tells them what's going on. And then he says, وَقُوَّةَ الْحِفْظِ في وسط الدماغ مثل صاحب الخريطة يجمع الرقاع من يد النقيب ويحتفظها إلى أن يعرضها على العقل. And then the memory is in the middle of the brain. This is like the map master. It's the one who knows the terrain. And he gathers all of the, he's listening. He's there next to the chief. And he's gathering all the information and keeping it. Oh, he brought news from, because he brings the map and he says, this is happening over here. There's troops amassing over here. So he brings that and he's maintaining all of this. And when the intellect needs it, when the minister needs it, he's there to bring the information. That's what the purpose of the memory. فإذا بلغت هذه الأخبار إلى الوزير يرى أحوال المملكة على مقتضاها. So if they bring the news to the minister, the aqal, he's able to know the condition of his dominion. In other words, he can assess reality in reality. So what he's saying is basically is that this is an incredibly orderly system that we've been given. And if it's used properly, you will be in touch with reality and you'll be fulfilling your purpose. But just like out there, things go very, very wrong. They're going to greet you with flowers when you come in to the city. When the army comes in, they're going to throw flowers at you. The jawasis weren't doing their job. Intelligence wasn't doing its job. They have weapons of mass destruction. Intelligence wasn't doing its job. So now reality is distorted. And what happens? Disaster. That's what happens, disaster, because they're out of touch with reality. And then you have the shihna is down there. Oh, we can make some money here. Because my salary's not enough. So you know what? I know the minister. We can get I can get a contract with you. The police force needs new guns. It doesn't need new guns, but I'm going to say that it needs new guns because I'll get my 10% when we buy the new guns from such and such corporation that's making the guns. So now it's all out of control. That's what happens. That happens inside the self. So you're looking outside and you're thinking, oh, look at all these problems in the world. It's all messed up. No, you're messed up. Seriously, you're a reflection. All of that is reflecting to us our inner states. The same confusion that reigns outside is reigning inside. And that's why the reality outside is just expressing the reality inside of the human condition. This is the state that human beings are in. Because they're not following this incredible order that was given to them. In fact, worse than that, they're even denying it. Just deny it flat out. That there's an order here. So if you want to understand why there's chaos outside, you just need to understand the chaos inside. When your irascible nature is controlling your rational nature, when you can't control your anger, then you can understand why things are chaotic out there. Why everybody's angry out there. فإذا رأيت واحدا منهم قد عصى عليك مثل الشهوة والغضب فعليك بالمجاهدة. If you see any one of these is rebelling against you, you have to struggle to suppress the rebellion. If the troops are rebelling, if they're out of control, you need to suppress the rebellion. وَلَا تَقْصِدْ قَتْلُهُمَا. Don't kill them. You don't want to kill them. لأن المملكة لا تستقر إلا بهما. Because the kingdom is not sound, it's not stable except with them. You need them. You need the concupiscence, you need desire, you need anger. If you don't have those, you don't have, the anger is your police force. You can't defend yourself. If you don't get angry, you can't defend yourself. If you don't have desire, you can't, there's no farmers to plow the fields, to bring food to the marketplace. فإذا فعلت ذلك كنت سعيدا. If you do that, you'll be felicitous. وأديت حق النعمة, and you'll fulfill the obligation of this blessing. ووجبت لك الخلعة في وقتها, and the robe of honor will come to you in time. This robe of honor. وَإِلَّا كُنْتَ شَقِيًّا. If not, then you're damned. وَوَجِبَ عَلَيْكَ النَّكَالِ وَالْعُقُوبَةِ. And there's nothing but punishment and chastisement that you warrant. That's it. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. صلى الله على سيدنا.
End of CD 2. This begins CD 3.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. وصلى اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. This section is called ثلاثة أشياء تبنى عليها السعادة. 3 things that joy or felicity or happiness is based on. And by sa'ada he means the joy of the next life. So he says, تمام السعادة مبني على 3 أشياء. Complete joy, or the completion of joy, is based on 3 things. قوة الغضب, قوة الشهوة, وقوة العلم. The faculty of, the irascible faculty, the concupiscent. I mean, those are the terms that we use in the West. For those, if you go into ethics, they're a little quaint now, I suppose. We don't really use that term anymore, irascible or concupiscent. So, قوة الغضب is the irascible soul, from ira, which is a Latin word for anger. We still use the word irate. Somebody's irate if they get very angry. And then the concupiscent soul, or the concupiscible, which is the lustful soul, or the soul of the appetites of the stomach and the genitals. And then قوة العلم, which is also the rational component, or the faculty of knowledge. فيحتاج أن يكون أمرها متوسطا لئلا تزيد قوة الشهوة فتخرجه إلى الرخص فيهلك أو تزيد قوة الغضب فتخرجه إلى الجموح فيهلك. So he says it's necessary for these matters, the ghadab and the shahwa, to be balanced and moderate, in order that the concupiscent soul not increase and cause someone to deviate and fall into the rukhas, meaning lenient matters, where they're just not working on themselves at all. فَيَهْلِكْ, and so it destroys them. أو تزيد قوة الغضب فتخرجه إلى الجموح فيهلك. Or the irascible nature increases, and that causes him to incline towards unruliness, jumuh, ungovernable. Somebody who is jamuh is defiant and recalcitrant. They're not following the rules or orders. So this is the problem. He's saying that the self gets imbalanced in these 2 ways. فإذا توسطت القوتان بإشارة قوة العلم دل على الطريق الهداية. So if these 2 strengths are balanced by the guidance of the rational soul, then they will follow the path of guidance. وكذلك الغضب إذا زاد سهل عليه الضرب والقتل. Anger, if it increases, then it becomes very easy to strike or to even kill. That's the extreme of the sin of anger, because anger is actually, the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تغضب, don't get angry. And if he said don't get angry, it's a nahi, it's a prohibition on getting angry, which means don't allow your anger. The ulama say it doesn't mean don't get angry, but don't allow your anger to cause you to do things that take you outside of yourself and result in harm to others. So he's saying that if ghadab increases, if the irate nature, the irascible nature increases in the self, then it'll lead to somebody losing control. And you see that a lot in people that don't have control over that aspect of themselves. They'll lose it. They become very emotional. They become in situations where they're not in control of themselves. They can lash out at people. They lash out verbally. They lash out physically at people. And also, I mean, this is a particular problem now around the globe. I mean, I'll give you an example. They have a program, I don't know if they still have it, they used to have it, in Arab television, which is called like Candid Camera. And they'll do things like they'll hide a camera, and then they'll have a scenario, and they'll have a situation where somebody will do something really bothersome. And it's a spin-off of an old program, I think from the 60s, in America. Again, I don't know if they still have it, but they used to have a program where they would do things and hide a camera, and then people would, like they have a fake policeman, and he'll just give a person a hard time for no reason. There's no real reason why he should be doing that. And people would respond to this. Now in the West, on that program, people used to get bothered by it, they'd get upset, and then after a little while, they'd tell them, oh, you're on candid camera, and they'll point to the camera and they'll all laugh. In the Arab version of it, almost every single time, right before they went to blows, some big giant guy would come out and hold the man physically back. And there was nothing funny about it at all. It was actually really troubling to see the behavior because people don't have that patience. Now, there's reasons for that. There's a lot more stress. People are under a lot of pressure. There's a lot of oppression. I mean, we tend to forget that the average person in the average day in the Muslim world is the victim of forms of oppression. If they just go to get, for instance, their driver's license, there's a whole experience involved in getting your driver's license. Like if you go in California, where I live, you might be a little miffed that you have to wait a half an hour. But in some of the Muslim countries, you have to bribe people just to get something that the government is supposed to give you just because you're a citizen. But it doesn't work like that. So people go through these experiences and they lead to certain states of mind. I mean, I have a friend here some of you might know him, but he has an advertising company. And in that advertising company, he had a campaign for tea called I'dal Mizajak, which in Saudi Arabia, I'dal Mizajak means straighten out your state or just relax. I'dal Mizajak. So the campaign was all about the tea. If you just drink the tea, you're going to calm down. So he had a scenario where this guy comes in and he's asking to get some rukhsa, that he needed, some official paper. And the guy tells him, come back later, like 2 hours or something. So he gets really angry, but he remembers drink tea. So he goes and he drinks tea, and then he comes back, and the guy says, I told you come back 2 hours. He said, Habibi, sa'atain, usbu'ain, ma yahimmak, 2 hours, 2 weeks, doesn't matter. But that is social commentary in a commercial, because that's the state that people are in. So it's not tea that's going to help you. I mean, that's why advertisers are false advertisers. It might help a little bit. So I didn't have any tea. But that's what he's saying, is that if you allow this soul to get out of hand, the irascible soul, you'll end up in this state where you could even kill somebody. And that happens to people. People literally strike people. They strike their wives. Or the wife strikes the husband in less common situation, but it happens. So people fall into domestic violence because they can't control themselves. So the wife says something. And one of the things, and I've pointed this out many times, but one of the things for people that haven't heard this, one of the things that husbands and wives get into is they fall into these, what they call in kind of a pop psychology, dysfunctional relationships. But what will happen is people in marriages, they learn buttons to push. So if the wife gets angry at the husband, she says something. You're just like your father. And he might have a problem with the behavior of the father. So that just sets him off. Or he says to her, you're just like your mother, or whatever they want to do. They have these buttons they know, and they push the button, and the person completely loses it. They lose control of their character. I had my 7-year-old, I heard some screaming, and I went upstairs. And one of them screaming, the other's looking sheepish. And I said, what's going on here? And he said, I pushed his buttons. So I was pleased that he understood what he was doing, because children learn that also. They know buttons to push. So these are automatic behaviors that people get into. What this is really about, what this science is about, is learning, instead of being an automatic, like an automaton, where you have buttons that you just react and you're not behaving as a conscious human being. What he's challenging you to do is to fully realize your humanity, your consciousness. So you're no longer behaving in a reactionary mode. Because that's what the concupiscent and the irascible soul are, reactionary souls. They're souls that are just reacting to events. You see something you desire and you can't control yourself. You go on an automatic pilot. You get into a certain situation and you can't control yourself. You react and become angry. And people do it all the time. They do the same thing. A good example of the irascible soul, there's people that just argue. That's all they do. Every conversation they get into, they have to argue. Every single conversation, they can't control themselves because they're on this automatic pilot. So he's saying if these aren't balanced in the self, then this is the situation that you have. وَإِذَا نَقَصَ ذَهَبَتْ الْغَيْرَةُ وَالْحَمِيَّةُ. If the irascible soul is deficient, there's no jealousy, and there's no hamiyya, there's no zeal to protect what needs to be protected, honor. So, on the other hand, it can be deficient. So somebody that, for instance, if you see the situation in Lebanon, that should get your blood boiling. It shouldn't be just something that you watch and then you go and have your dinner, which is what a lot of people do. It just doesn't mean a whole lot to them, because that aspect of their soul is diminished. And also you can have, it's diminished in the right things, but it's excessive in the wrong things. So that's also another type of imbalance that occurs. The next section is فَصْلُ أَحْوَالَ الْقَلْبِ مَعَ عَسْكَرِهِ, the section on the states of the heart with its troops. اعلم أن للقلب مع عسكره أحوالا وصفات بعضها يسمى أخلاق السوء وبعضها أخلاق الحسن. So he says, know that the heart with its troops has states and qualities or attributes. Some of it is called virtue and others is called vice. Some of it is called good character and others is called bad character. فبالأخلاق الحسنة يبلغ درجة السعادة وبالأخلاق السيئة هلاكه وخروجه للشقاء. So with good character, with beautiful character, he reaches the degree of felicity, and with bad character or vile character, he's destroyed and falls into shaqa, which is damnation. وهذه كلها تبلغ 4 أجناس. And so each of these are 4 different types of species of akhlaq. So each one is a genus. And ajnas is actually related to the word genus. Akhlaq al-shayateen, the character of demons. Akhlaq al-bahaim, the character of ruminants. Akhlaq al-siba', the character of predators. Wa akhlaq al-malaika, and the character of angels. فأعمال السوء من الأكل والشرب والنوم والنكاح هي أخلاق البهائم. So deeds, foul deeds, when they're related to eating, drinking, sleeping, and copulation, these are the qualities of the ruminants. They're the bahaim, the beasts. This is the character of beasts. So people that overeat, it's a bestial quality. People that drink too much, people that sleep too much, people that copulate too much, these are all bestial qualities. And what he's saying is that they have the character of these bahaim. So they're closer to the bahima than they are to a human being. And again, that's one of the things that you see, is people are becoming more bestial. Obsessions with all of these things. If you look at the time that people put into food, the amount of time that people put into food is amazing. Ibn Ata'illah says people will be, and this is 9th century, I mean, it's quite late, people will be at the greengrocer, and he said they'll spend long periods of time looking at the fruit, feeling the fruit, to pick the fruit. He said that they'll take and squeeze it and make sure it's just right and then put each one in. And he said when they go to pray, they pray like the chicken, pecking. So he said the things that for their stomach, they give all of this time. But for their prayer, they give no time. And he said the prayer is eternal. It's going to Allah. The food that you're picking out is going to the toilet. That's where it's headed. So he said, well, what a state that human beings are in. So this is what he's saying, is if these are your obsessions, then you're like the ruminants. You're like beasts. وكذلك أعمال الغضب من الضرب والقتل والخصومة هي أخلاق السباع. And also deeds that are related to anger, striking, killing, argumentation. These are the characteristics of predators. Aggressiveness. That's what the predators have. So your character is closer to the lions and the leopards. It's not human. وَكَذَلِكَ أَعْمَالُ النَّفْسِ. And also those qualities of the ego, of the nafs. وَهِيَ الْمَكْرُ وَالْحِيلَةِ وَالْغِشِ وَغَيْرُ ذَلِكَ. Things like subterfuge, faithlessness, disloyalty, deception, strategies, plotting and planning. Those are all qualities of the demons. So when that's your focus, you've become a demonic character. And people, if you don't think people don't plot, people are plotting. People plot. People plot. People plot in the most petty of matters. People will plot your downfall at the office, a place where you work. There's people that are literally plotting to make sure you don't get the promotion. I mean, this is a state of people. This is going on all the time, all around us. These are the states. There's ruminants out there, predators, and demons. And some people are an admixture of all three. And then he says, وَكَذَلِكَ أَعْمَالَ الْعَقْلِ. And also the actions or the deeds of the intellect. And intellect, unfortunately, he's using intellect as a very specific meaning. Now we use intellect to refer more to cognitive processes, mathematics and things like that. The aql, the real aql, is a light. And يعقل النفس عن هواها. يعقل النفس عن هواها. It restrains the soul from its caprice. That's the real role of the aql, the hijab, the nuha. It's there to do that. التي هي الرحمة. I mean, the deeds of the intellect are mercy. Why? Because يرحم من في الأرض يرحمكم من في السماء. Have mercy on those on the earth, and the one in the heaven will have mercy on you. That's revelation. Revelation illuminates the intellect. So once you know that rahmah is a reason for which rahmah is bestowed upon you, you become a more merciful person. So that's the intellect. When it's functioning properly, it's directing the soul to those things that are beneficial to the soul in the next life. Because that's the purpose of the intellect, is to benefit you not here but in the next life. As well as here. But more importantly is the next life, because it's eternal. So your temporal existence is going to determine the nature of your eternal existence. So if you're a person of intellect, then the intellect is going to be guiding you in that way. وَالْعِلْمِ, knowledge, increasing one's knowledge, striving to be a person of knowledge. Jahiliyyah is ignorance. The Shaykh talked in the class on Sirah about the age of ignorance. Like the man who said, I'm from Ghazali. I'm from the tribe of Ghazali. If they go astray, I go astray. If they're guided, I'm guided. That's the age of ignorance. I just follow my tribe. My tribe right or wrong. My country right or wrong. We're number one. That's all ignorance. Somebody who's knowledgeable transcends those types of the limitations of ignorance. Because that's what ignorance is. It limits people. And then also, wal-khayr, charitable actions, actions that are beneficial and good. وَهِيَ أَخْلَاقُ الْمَلَائِكَةِ, and these are the characteristics or the virtues of the angels. These are the angels. So now you're moving into the angelic realm. The people that are preoccupied with these are in the angelic realm. And then he says that أخلاق الحسنة وأخلاق القبيحة. وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ فِي جِلْدِ بْنِ آدَمْ أَرْبَعَةَ أَشْيَاء. Know that within the shell of the son of Adam are four things. Al-Kalb, the dog. Al-Khinzir, the pig. Al-Shaitan, the demon. And Al-Malak, the angel. So in each person are these four qualities. The quality of the dog, the quality of the pig, the quality of the demon, and the quality of the angel. وَالْكَلْبُ مَذْمُومٌ فِي صِفَاتِهِ. The dog is blameworthy in its qualities. وَلَيْسَ بِمَذْمُومٍ فِي صُورَتِهِ. But it's not blameworthy in its form. Its form is not blameworthy, the way it looks. There's nothing wrong with the way it looks. But it's blameworthy in its behavior. So if you train a dog actually can become a praiseworthy creature. But if he's not trained, he's blameworthy. He's jumping all over. He's spilling things. He is aggressive. If he sees something he doesn't know, he just starts growling. He doesn't know why he's growling. It could be a friend, not a foe, but he doesn't distinguish between friend or foe. He's just in that aggressive mode. So the dog, that's the state of the dog. وَكَذَلِكَ الشَّيْطَانِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةِ ذَمُّهُمْ وَمَدْحُهُمْ فِي صِفَاتِهِمْ. And like that, the demon and the angel. The blame and the praise of these two creatures is in their qualities. It's not in their forms. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَنْظُرُ إِلَى صُوَرِكُمْ. The Prophet ﷺ said, God doesn't look at your forms. وَلَكِنْ إِلَى أَعْمَالِكُمْ وَقُلُوبِكُمْ. But at your deeds and what's the state of your heart, your intentions. That's what Allah looks at. He doesn't look at your outward forms. وَلَيْسَ ذَلِكَ فِي صُوَرِهِمْ وَخَلْقِهِمْ. It's not in their form or how they've been created. وَكَذَلِكَ الْخِنْزِيرُ مَذْمُومٌ فِي صِفَاتِهِ وَلَيْسَ بِمَذْمُومٍ فِي خِلْقَتِهِ. And like that, the pig is blameworthy in his qualities, in his characteristics, and he's not blameworthy in his external appearance. You can't blame a pig for the way it looks. Right? But the way it behaves, that's another thing. وَقَدْ أُمِرَ ابْنُ آدَمْ بِأَنْ يَكْشِفَ ظُلْمَ الْجَهْلِ بِنُورِ الْعَقْلِ خَوْفًا مِنَ الْفِتْنَةِ. And the son of Adam was commanded to expose the darkness of ignorance with the light of knowledge, with the light of intellect. That's what human beings were commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do. To expose the darkness of ignorance with the light of the intellect. And the light of the intellect is guided by revelation. So you've been given an intellect, and if it's illuminated by revelation, then it can dispel the darkness of ignorance. But if it's not, it can't. Because no matter how intelligent a person is, if they don't have a knowledge to balance these things out, if they don't have a knowledge that tells them, in this situation you should behave thus, in this situation you should behave thus, you won't know. You won't see your own behavior. You won't challenge yourself. You won't look at your intentions.